Oh wait, right. It's gonna be my video. Let me look less exhausted.
I've already started recording, just so you know. So that's all going in.
No.
Um, Hi.
Wait, for all the viewers, here's my location. Do you guess it?
Can you show them the Golden Gate Bridge? I still don't see it. Where is it? Oh, the post is blocking it, I think. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
It's like the tiny little thing.
Right.
Wow. Okay. That was our cold open. Welcome to Three Questions, Three Questions. I'm your host, Ethan Willick, and here is my co-host,
Stephanie Frobel.
And today we're each going to ask each other three questions. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to yap about our answers. That's the show. Three questions, three questions. Stephanie, can you kick us off with what we always say when you're on the show?
I have a question.
Great.
So, my first question for you. So, you know the YouTube channel Kurzgesagt? Yeah, Kurzgesagt.
In a nutshell.
So, I used to watch, in a nutshell, I used to watch them a lot when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, they come back into my feed to bring me some new novel science with some really cute birds animations. And this time, I watched one about voids, when I felt like there was already a void inside of me. And my question is for you, how do you relate to the astronomical world, and how worried are you about voids and dark matter?
I mean, so first of all, as I'm sure you know, but maybe the viewers don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with the astronomical world. Like, I've been quite interested in it. I listen to a lot of podcasts about it. My favorite book of all time is called The End of Everything, Astrophysically Speaking. It's a great book about the astrological world. I will say this. I try my very best to not relate myself to the astrological world. It freaks me out a little bit. I think, like, for example, when I remember that I am made of a exploded star, that's creepy. That's weird. I don't like that. Gross. So there's a little bit of that. It's also like, if I think too much about the vastness of the universe and the vastness of time, the fact that we're like some of the first things in the universe, kind of creeps me out as well. So.
And also that space bends and warps.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
We warp with it.
And that's why I think time is moving faster in the past 6 months. Do you feel like time has moved faster in the past 6 months?
Here's the thought for you. As we perceive time, we do it proportionally based off of what percentage of our life the time
I get it.
In, right? Which is why as a baby it's shorter. Yeah. You know?
I feel like I was doing this kind of graph, and then I exponentially went speed.
I also think it sometimes has to do with like the number of things you're doing. Like, I feel like during Minerva, it was like every day was like 30 things, and now I feel like I'm just doing fewer things, so there's less things for the time to anchor on. Do you feel that?
So it feels slower? Time? Or faster?
No, it feels faster, because during Minerva, it was 8 things per day. Now it's 1 thing per day. The 8 felt long. The 1 feels short.
I feel like it could also have to do with the fact that recently I've been clocking consistently 12 hours of sleep and 12 hours of wake time, and that does remove a lot of life from your conscious day.
Okay, are you ready for your first question?
Shoot.
Bang. So you are famous for your love of another species of animal, specifically the monkey. And my first question for you is, if you were a monkey, what species would you be, and what would your monkey personality be?
That's a really good question, Ethan, because there's so many kind of parameters to consider when designing your ideal monkey species to be, such as endangered. Do I want to be an endangered species? Sure. Like that's really scary because there's not that many of us, and maybe we struggle with things. But at the same time, that makes us, kind of special and exotic. I don't like the word exotic, but I'm going to use it in this context. Exotic. There's also other things like what behavioral capacities do I have? For the monkey question, are we also including apes or are we only including monkeys, period?
I'll let you include apes.
Okay. Because then if we include apes, then we're also thinking about like, do I want to have the capacity to have full-fledged wars with other members of my species? That would be crazy. Do I want to feel like kind of a...
Are humans apes?
That's correct. But we're excluding them.
You could be you.
But I'm not.
I didn't think about that.
For the sake of this question. Yeah, I'm not trying to warp you in this thing. Other things would be design elements. Like, do I want to be cute and attractive? And what does that mean? You could have, like, the proboscis monkey, which has, if I was a male, this giant nose, which I think is pretty cute, like a villager from Minecraft. Or I could have a lion's mane that, as in my last video that I was on this channel, looks very similar to Ethan and his hair in a very fantastic way. And that's pretty cool too. So, or you could think about the hunting pressure. If I was in some regions of Africa, like the Congo, I might be consumed and hunted, and that's kind of scary.
Oh, it's or like I could be our classmate from Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil,
who talked about
exactly.
How he would eat monkey.
Yes, that is also a common thing in South America, and it was also part of the rehabilitation at the center I was doing in Bolivia as well, is that typically you'd shoot a mother spider monkey for food, take the baby and maybe raise it as a proxy pet in some capacity, which has some deep cultural persistence over time in some indigenous communities, but has shifted with modernization that kind of makes that relationship a bit more sus, I would say. So what monkey would I choose? I think I will choose.
There's a drum roll going. I'm sure you can't hear the drum roll because I'm adding it in afterwards, but there's a drum roll right now.
I feel like I'm going to have a basic answer for this one. Or, this is a really difficult question, Ethan. So incredibly difficult. But you could also be a species that has infanticide, so you could not even make it to adulthood because a dad of your mother's new stepdad just killed your siblings or something because he doesn't like you, guys, and that's really scary. I'm just gonna be point blank basic and maybe just choose I can't choose two. I'll choose 1.5. Mm-hmm. My first choice would be to be. I'm changing my first choice. This is a really stressful question, Ethan. I'm not going to lie to you. This is extremely stressful.
I apologize. Okay. I thought it would be kind of fun and you would get to talk about different things that monkeys like.
It is really fun. Okay, I'm going to choose spider monkey. I wasn't thinking of choosing this one because a lot of the spider monkeys are endangered. However, I'm going to choose the spider monkey because, one, let's get rid of the thumbs for a while and replace our thumb with an opposable tail. Sign me up. I think it'd be really interesting to swing through the trees and be able to speed through and go at different layers really easily, have my tail as another tool to use, and the relationships are fission fusion between spider monkeys. So I have my time alone, and I also have my time with my family. And I think that's important. And the mothers are actually the ones that leave the group. Usually it's the males. It's females in this case that leave to move to another group to breed. I'm an adventurer. I think that makes sense for me. The only big threats would be, being hunted. I don't really like that. But since most spider monkeys aren't habituated to people, I think I could be elusive and be a smaller spider monkey maybe and kind of be uh get my way around, hopefully, and meet some good friends. And my second species would be probably the rhesus macaque, simply because it
I
gives me a lot of opportunities.
I was so certain you were going to see rhesus macaque.
Really?
Yeah, that was my guess.
See, I think most of them are really ugly, but some of them have like a genetic deviation, which I saw one in Pakistan in my entire life. And I had like this, I'm saying I as if I was the monkey, but there was this beautiful ginger red fur. And also because it's the most successful species, besides like, I don't know, like a baboon or something, but I can climb trees a little bit. I can walk a little bit. I can exist in the villages as I want and as I please. And I just have a huge range across the subcontinent of India, Pakistan, that I can just travel so many different places. And I think that makes sense for me.
I like the traveling and the climbing as the combination.
Yeah, that's true. Or I could be a bottom macaque and go climbing in Badami, where I also go climbing IRL in real life.
Mm.
But for simplicity's sake, we're gonna go spider monkey, rhesus macaque, period, done. No other questions. Or I could be the monkey that has like Kylie Jenner lips in China. But there's too much censorship there, so I think I'm gonna avoid that.
Okay, Steph, you got another question for me?
I do have another question, and it's best that we move on to the next question.
Mm.
Okay, the next question for me to you is we're gonna set this up. I've been watching The Incredibles recently. Incredibles 1, Incredibles 2. And I started to realize, like, basically, the plot of Incredibles to review with you, Ethan, is
Mm.
that the superheroes are banned from society. They're just not wanted because they perceivably make a lot of destruction, even though they're also saving people.
Mm.
Because the villains aren't really showcased as much as the culprit behind this mass destruction. But then I thought a second. In the second movie, the whole plot is we want to bring superheroes back. Then there's this chaos, and a huge disaster happens because the superhero was like so absorbed in their superhero ness that they want to save people, and they do actually create more destruction. So my question is for you, like, what do you think is the relationship between superheroism and egotism? And one of the things that they pointed out in the movie was that why should we oppress someone with exceptional talent when they want to help someone? And then another person, the villain, said, well, why should we trust someone that just because they have superpowers, they innately want to do good for people? Just because you say that you want to help means you want to help. What is your like perspective on the help giving capacity of someone, their desire to help? Is that help trustworthy? And the destruction that does come of someone wanting to help. It's like they open Pandora's box and they're trying to close it again. Be like, guys, I closed it. It's like, but you also opened it.
Let me start with a simple thought. Why do we think that Dr. Doofenshmirtz is evil? I mean, he says he's evil, right? But the only reason that we think he is evil is because of that. If you actually were to listen to him, he has a concern about society. He makes a plan to fix it, and he makes an attempt to fix his concern about society, most of which came from his own childhood trauma and attempting to prevent that childhood trauma in other people, right? And if you think about the villains in real life, a lot of them are people who did have a goal of helping people to some extent, right?
I don't know about all villains, but some people. Some
Yeah, you think about someone like Elon Musk or Bill Gates, and it's like, why do they, like they are kind of inherently evil in the way that they hoard wealth, but they try to make an attempt to be seen as good.
But they call themselves a superhero.
Yeah, it's like in Iron Man, is Iron Man really all that good? Like he does kill a lot of people. He does. That's the whole reason for the Sokovia Accords, right?
Wait, Iron Man kills people?
Yeah, of course, on accident, But like it's
manslaughter.
A whole question of should good people get involved because most of the times when they're doing good things, it's actually evil in another way, right? So I don't know if I have an answer to you, um, but I think your question is very interesting. Um, and I think
Oh,
I have not watched The Incredibles enough to know if I agree or disagree. But I do think that you could make a very valid case that the difference between a superhero and a supervillain is very slim.
hmm. And I think there's also kind of like the layers of priority. We can do some levels of analysis here. Because in the movie, the dad wants to be a superhero so bad that he neglects his own children and like avoids his family life because he has this other ambitious dream. And in that case, he's helping society, maybe, but we don't even know about that. But he's hurting his those that are closest to him.
Mm, wow. There's so many layers to this thing. And it's just a simple
Yeah.
kids movie, right?
It's not made for kids. I was so scared of it growing up.
The Incredibles? I
Yeah.
love The Incredibles.
Also, the dad like slaps his wife's bum in a flirtatious way. Is that made for kids?
Kids are allowed to see flirting. Anyways.
Good
Uh,
movie.
good movie. I don't think I have a great answer for you. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you might have a great answer for this next one.
Okay.
Stephanie Frobel, you read a lot.
That's true.
Can you recommend me a book?
Recommend you a book, specifically you.
Yeah, you can also just do like a general book recommendation that you like to give, but
Okay.
I'm sure you'll say like The Overstory or something if you're
Uh,
recommending a book to everyone.
why do you
Recommend
know my
me a
favorite
book.
book? Why do you know my favorite book? I
We've
just
been
recently
friends
read
for
Richard
5 years.
Powers.
What?
Yeah, yeah, I know. So I talk about it that much.
You've talked about it twice.
Well,
Hmm?
his third book in his new environmental like storytelling change of topic where he has deviated and focuses more on environmental kind of fables.
Hmm?
Playground, I read it for the second time just this past week
Hmm?
and it's incredible. So,
Hmm?
okay, let me think about a book. I'm gonna cheat a little and go into my Goodreads because I just need like visual stimulus to understand like what is there. So the type of books you like to read, you like some nonfiction stuff
Hmm?
that kind of breaks down big ideas. You like, obviously, as you've mentioned, the science books that, again, bring down some complex things. I feel like we also read very deviant genres from each other. Like, I could pick up your genre, but me picking up your genre seems a bit more difficult.
Hmm?
Can you help me here and tell me what is a book that you read recently that, boom, so good?
So good. I've been reading a lot of Vonnegut recently. Really like.
See,
uh,
that's crazy. I would never read that.
I see. What have I read recently? I'll Go Speak was very good. Um,
Right.
book on uh, how algorithms impact language. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've read a couple of classics recently. I read Fahrenheit 451 recently.
Oh, love that book.
Um, I thought it was fine.
I've
Um,
read it 3 times.
oh, I loved there was a book called The Spinach King. It's a book about the history of the first industrial
Okay.
spinach farm.
Okay, then I think I have a book recommendation for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let me look up the name. So he has a few books. I think
Mhm.
one of them must meet your fancy in some capacity,
Mhm.
but I'm going to go with one first. Okay.
Mhm.
So this author is named Michael Pollan. He's a professor of journalism at California, Berkeley. So he lives in the Bay Area.
Mhm.
And he just writes about the state of plants and our relationship to more than human life in a way that fundamentally has changed my perspective when I was younger. I read it first when I was younger, but he has a few different ones. So the one that I first would recommend based on the books that you had just mentioned would be called The Botany of Desire, A Plant's Eye View of the World. And kind of the central argument is he traces, so part of it is he does this beautiful thing. Oh, I have another book for you. Okay. First one, so yeah, he traces The Botany of Desire. He traces different case studies of organisms plants. So he did marijuana, apples, tulips, and the potato, I think. And maybe French bulldogs. It's not a plant, but he did talk about French bulldogs, I remember. And he basically traces how they came about, and it kind of makes this argument of how plants co-created their modernity as opposed to this idea that humans are the primary cultivator of the outcome of a species. So, for example, with the apples, he traces all the way back to Johnny Appleseed and the kind of folklore, mythology, and fact that comes with the passage of Johnny Appleseed and apples across America. And like tulips talks about Netherlands' obsession with tulips. And I think it has a good blend of history, a good blend of philosophy, like a basic level philosophy, just of like reconsidering how you relate to things that I think you could enjoy. He also has some books about psychedelics, goes through the history of LSD, psilocybin in the United States, while also trying psychedelics for himself and foraging for mushrooms. So I think one of those would be quite interesting. He just came out with a new book as well, but I don't have a take on that because I don't know what it's about. The second book I was thinking is Why Do Fish Not Exist?
I've had this recommended so many times to me. I need to read this book.
Yeah, because it does blend memoir and also the crazy way that we think of fish. And there's like this one scientist who's like a mad scientist and keeps a lot of fish. And then all of his collection of that's a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
You should read that one. I think you should read the fish one first, and I feel more confident you would enjoy that mostly. Sometimes I think some parts will be weird, but then Botany of Desire I think will also be a solid rec.
Yeah. God, I need to read Why Do Fish Not Exist? Botany of Desire sounds very good too, but Why Do Fish Not Exist? You're like the 8th person to recommend it to me.
Yeah, it's about time then.
Yeah. Well, is it a book about time?
Wait, Ethan!
Oh, I'm concerned. What?
Sorry, but the first call that we had during Minerva on that like ascent thing, before we were even students at Minerva, one of the girls in our call who didn't end up going to Minerva, we had first talked, exactly, her, we talked about why fish don't exist in that call.
So one of the times that the book was recommended to me was by you 6 years ago.
Indirectly.
That's crazy. That's a full circle moment for real.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you got another question?
I do have another question for you.
This is the last one from you.
It is. Yeah. This is. So, Ethan, as someone who has lived abroad for the greater part of 4 years in the past 5, and someone who feels a certain way about the world, but also goes back to places that are maybe more bubbled atmospheres of spaces. My question for you is, how do you partake in communicating what the rest of the world is like to people who it's beyond their wildest dream? And that comes with like the good things, but then also kind of breaking down, like humanizing people from countries that are determined as terrorist nations, for example.
Yeah. I do. So I've got 2 parts to this answer, actually, because I've been thinking a lot about this as I've been living in Massachusetts, but having lived all over the world previously. The first part, Fraggle Rock. Do you know?
Of course. That's my favorite show.
There's a character in Fraggle Rock whose name is like Uncle Traveling Sam.
Uncle Tom!
Uncle Traveling Tom? Is that his name?
Wait,
Let me
follow me, Bobo. The world begins again. Sunny shines or rain.
Uncle Traveling
Come and follow me. Yes.
Yes. This guy. Uncle Traveling
If you want, he knows me more and more. There's so much to explore.
So
Come and follow me.
I think a lot about myself as being like him. Like there is his whole thing is he like goes around and he explores and he learns and he comes back and he like tells these tales and they're all slightly wrong, but it's like
Yeah.
better than nothing because the Fraggles haven't left their little town. And it's like when I was living out in Southern Illinois and it was with all these rural people and the chances of them having left the state was pretty low. And so like me trying to explain what it's like in Korea, they'll never really understand. But if they say something negative about Korean people, my goal was always to just correct and redirect.
Correct and redirect.
Rather than, like, it's impossible to be preemptive, right? Because I can't, if I tried to explain what it is like to live in Korea, for example, that's like a 7-hour long explanation for the basics, right?
Just send them one day.
Link to the documentary, it's somewhere over here. I almost definitely won't do that. I will not remember to, but one day.
It's in the description.
It also isn't, but one day Minerva.
It's in the comment section.
Yeah, Steph will add it. But that's like one side of it is like it is impossible for me to be Uncle Traveling Matt. Then the other side of it is I then am being reactive whenever there are things being said. But sometimes it makes me come off as like a mean person on accident or like a posh person. And I don't like those. Like, for example, there was someone at work who was talking about what is it called? Ube. And he was like, ube is this Taiwanese crop that they love over there. And I was like, well, in Taiwan they eat purple sweet potato, but that isn't ube. Like, ube is native to somewhere else. Where else? I don't know. But I lived in Taiwan, and there wasn't ube there. I'm assuming that the word ube comes from a Bantu language, just because it sounds like it could. But I don't actually know, right? You're looking it up?
What is ube?
It's a type of sweet potato. We're live fact-checking this episode. Ube is from the Philippines. So he wasn't that far.
He's kind of far. That's pretty far.
He's pretty far. But I mean, if you've never left Massachusetts, the difference between Taiwan and the Philippines, like I
is indifference.
Yeah, I shouldn't really be judging him for not understanding the difference, but I should be re-educating and explaining.
Yes,
but I shouldn't be doing it in a way that makes me sound like a mean person, right? And so there's that weird trade-off between it all.
It makes a lot of sense.
As you've been back in San Francisco, have you been experiencing this need to explain things?
I exclusively talk to Minervans here.
I see.
So I don't really have any explanations, but what I do say is I try to humanize situations as much as possible. So if I'm triggered about like an ICE situation or kind of, the recent obscure attacks on the Middle East and stuff by the United States, absolutely senseless. I always like bring it back to, if it's someone that knows me and my friends, I'm like, this friend, this happened to them, this is this, you know them, you know their quality, you know who they are, this is what the policy they're doing to people who are good. Or I'll be like, this person lives in this country, here's how they experience this country, and now here's how they're experiencing this country because of the United States. And I say that just to kind of remind them of like the real people that exist in these spaces rather than kind of these lump sum narratives of what we think of a region, especially like with Pakistan or something. I've had many arguments with strangely adults of like where Pakistan is. I'm like, it's in the Middle East. I'm like, no, dear, like I've been there. And they're like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I don't understand how I'm wrong. But these are adults where you can't like, unlock that necessarily. But I try to always like, I overemphasize the positive sometimes as well. So like, I'll always say 100 good things about Pakistan before I say any problematic thing, because I know that their perception and their kind of knowledge set is already 1,000 bad things about Pakistan.
Yeah. I have noticed the longer I have lived, the more I've realized how dumb so many people are.
Yeah.
Like It's kind of crazy how many people are just like going based off of pure stereotype and never even considering the human. And
Yeah,
I always try and talk about people I know or friends I have rather than talk about places as a like concept
yeah,
whenever possible. Um, so you
yeah.
ready for
I
your last
also
question?
think
Oh,
like there's sorry, I just think there's a little bit of empathy that comes as well for the stupid people because I realize like there's a good chance I'm gonna be a mother one day who can't help their kid with math fractions because it's so removed. Like once you start specializing in your career, you
mm,
have to sacrifice so much of that basic education that like
mm,
it's a good chance that college or high school me would be the smartest at a lot of things,
mm.
just not the smartest at one thing. Whereas now I'm probably gonna be smarter at one thing or a few things as opposed to the maths.
Hashtag never specialize. Um, anyways,
I
uh,
agree.
the final question for you is also traveling related, which I think that's
Wow.
really fun. Um, so you did a lot of traveling in college
Yes.
for 4 years, and
Yeah.
then you graduated, and then you kept traveling. And
Yeah.
now it sounds like you're starting to slow down a little bit and be within the US, but with plans to continue a lot and travel
Yeah.
more. And I was wondering what your relationship with traveling began as at the
Yeah.
start of college, how it has evolved, where it is now, and where you see it going
Okay.
in the future.
Okay. So when I started college, all I knew about traveling was a dream of me watching YouTubers who did it. So Yes Theory, this woman called Sorella Moore, things like that, where there's this like freedom and there's this like beauty of nature. I think it was more nature focused. Like I really didn't understand actually how people were abroad, especially in the US. People ask me like, "Well, did you have prejudices about other places?" And sure, I had stereotypes about countries, but about people, I had nothing to base anything off of. Because anyone who would be like a different color than me, a different like ethnicity, you could say, or something, was still American, or at least masked and, assimilated to Americanness, such that it didn't force me to have to learn anything more. So at the beginning, travel was very much like driven by, yeah, slowly breaking down, unintentionally and intentionally, but slowly breaking down those like the anchorage of US as the center of the world, which I didn't mean for it to be, but just through how we're raised, it is. At least how I was raised. And then, but also being driven by like good views, good sights, this maybe stereotypical things in some sense, like going to a temple or something and finding that magic, and then being confused why my friends who grew up with temples don't find this equally magical, and kind of wrestling with that idea and what that means. Then, as it became very fatiguing. Always going on these big trips with other Minervans is quite stressful. It's a bit much. And I would just like seek out refuge. I spent a lot of time, like realistically at Minerva, I was not as much like you, who I think you would go out quite often. I did not. I spent a lot of time in my dorm, suffocated a little bit, and I should have gone outside. But it's like if it's one thing to be stressed about going outside in a country where you speak the language, you know the neighborhood, you know how it functions, it's another thing to then have to be like, oh, I might bump into someone I know and have to pretend to smile. Oh, I might have to go outside and like then figure out how I'm going to even communicate what I want. I don't even know how to find what I'm looking for because we don't have the same structure of how groceries are sold and all that stuff. So then it became a bit stressful. But then you circle back, and I started doing travel as well. Like during the summer breaks, I would do stuff outside of Minerva, and I kind of gained my footing and gained the tools of like how to be a traveler and how to do it the way I like. Because that was also a big mix. Is saying that you like to travel to someone else who also likes to travel does not mean you'll be friends. There's many genres of travel, many ways to travel. So that's not like a consistent hobby. It's like saying that, oh yeah, I like guitar, but I play classical guitar and the other person plays hard rock electric. And I think the travel thing is even further apart than those two things. Yeah. And I think where I'm at now is I love to be slow as possible. I love to live in a place I do also love when they speak a different language, so then I can tune out some people talking. Uh, it sucks when I start learning the language because then I can't do that as well. Which, especially reading, I love not being able to read a sign, but now I've been learning Urdu and I can pronounce a few alphabets, and I'm like, buh, buh, every time I see that on the sign, and there's no peace of mind, which
Stephanie
is great, but
Frobel,
also,
Urdu
yeah.
celebrity.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm going viral on Pakistani Instagram right now for my Urdu practice. It's fantastic. I love it. I love learning the language through the comment section as well. It's very great. So where am I at now? I just want to be slow and I want to stay curious. I'm so curious about most of the world, but I also know that I don't have the capacity to be stretching out to new places all the time. So this past travel, I was primarily in places I like countries I had been before, maybe not cities or towns, but countries. So there's a bit more of a basis of what I know. Um, but yeah, Kusha said to me, he's like, "Yeah, Stephanie, I think you need to. You're not meant for the U.S. I don't think you fit in here." And I said, "Yeah, I don't think I do either." So I think I'm just kind of forced out of this country because I don't vibe with the culture as easily as I do in other places.
We have
Yeah,
3 minutes left.
I know. I was rushing through that answer.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to plug or talk about or add? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you could say what we always say at the end of the episode when you're on the episode.
Oh, like the episode of the podcast or the episode of like a show on this channel?
No, every time you're on the end of the episode of this podcast, you always say the same thing.
I have no further questions.
That's pretty good. Wait,
Okay,
but do you want
okay,
to
but I
plug
will say,
anything?
yeah, I do want to plug. So I am Stephanie Frobel. You can find me on my website, stephaniefrobel.com, www.stephaniefrobel.com, http colon backslash backslash Stephanie Frobel, www.stephaniefrobel. Anyways, I'm also on the Instagram, Steph Frobel. Those are good places if you want to chat. You probably won't get this far in the episode, and the people who do, they probably already follow me. Actually, they don't, but love to connect, love to talk about all the things, whether it's voids, superheroes, monkey species, travel. I'm always here for good conversation. I have no further questions, no further comments, besides saying that, Ethan, I'm so grateful that you invited me here. And I think outside of the context of this podcast, I would love to have random questions to ask you and you discuss them because I think you embrace them in such an interesting way that I learned something.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I hope you can come on the podcast again at some point in the future. And no further questions. And then you could say it at the same time, and then we can put it overlap them in the editing.
Okay, sure. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. And if you didn't, you can blame Ethan's brothers.